Hello, everybody. This is Brian Ankney with AutoSuccess magazine. I'd like to thank you all for taking some time out of your day to join us today. Today, my guests are Dan Wright and John Iyer. They're from Podium. We're going to be discussing how online reviews can drive your dealership's reputation and local SEO. When people think about reputation and reviews, I mean, just everybody can agree that more positive reviews are better than negative reviews. But today we're going to dive a little deeper than that. We're going to talk about how reviews can affect not only your customers' ability to determine whether you're a company they want to do business with, but also whether or not they find you or your competitor when Google search. Now, a couple things that I want to go over before we get started. First of all, questions. If you have questions, please type them in as we go. And the way you do that is if you're on a laptop, a PC, or tablet, on the right side of your screen, there's a GoToWebinar panel. Near the bottom, it says questions. You hit that plus sign, and it opens up, and you can type in a question. And now, if you're on a mobile device, Apples are different than Androids, and Androids vary by manufacturer. So somewhere on your screen, you're either going to have a picture frame or a header or a footer, and on there, you'll see a question mark. If you click that question mark, it'll open up to where you can type in a question, and then you might be able to swipe to have it go away, or you might have to click on the icon that kind of looks like a desktop monitor, and that'll take you back to the webinar. Now, if by chance, while you're doing that, you get kicked out of the webinar for whatever reason, the same link that you used to join right now will work, and the same phone number will work, so just dial back in and join us. Now, as we go through the webinar, please type your questions in, because that'll help me give context to the question. I'm able to see them as you type them in, and then that way I can let our speakers know when you ask the question, so we can have a better idea of the context of the question. Now, one last thing before we get started: AutoSuccess webinars. It's a group on Facebook. If you're not a member, I invite you to please join. It's a place for you to interact with our speakers and with the AutoSuccess staff. You can suggest topics, suggest speakers you'd like to see on a future webinar. Most importantly, you can interact with each other. On this webinar and all of our webinars, most of the ideas that we share and the changes that you can do in your own business, most of them are not one-step things. They don't take one day. So, as you're moving through the process of implementing what you learn, you're going to have successes and failures. And I invite you to share that with each other in AutoSuccess webinars. Maybe you can avoid a pitfall, or maybe you can, learn something from somebody else's success and to improve your business quicker. Now, with all that being said, I would like to pass control over to our presenters. Gentlemen, Dan and John, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Brian. Just want to welcome everyone to today's webinar, How to Drive and Optimize Your Dealership's Reputation with Online Reviews and Local SEO. Just before we get started, I just want to apologize for my voice. Have a little bit of a cold, so normally I sound much better than this, so please bear with me. But like Brian was saying, the way that consumers are researching and finding your dealership has changed dramatically over the years. In the past, your customers relied on personal experience or the experience of family and friends to find where to buy a new car. And they frequently purchased at dealerships that were near them or that they were familiar with. Now, consumers are turning to the internet and online reviews to decide who to do business with. And they're looking for not only the dealership that will give them the best deal, but also provide them with the best experience. My name is John Ayer. I'm the Director of Content at Podium. I spend most of my day looking for new and innovative ways for customers to take advantage of online reviews. Joining me today is Dan Wright, who's a Regional Sales Director at Podium. Now, Dan has quite a bit of experience helping auto dealerships build, manage, and improve their online reputation. So definitely take what he has seriously, because he has a lot of experience and knows what he's talking about. So just to go over today's agenda, today we're going to be talking a little bit about today's automotive market and opportunity, and then we'll dig into how online reviews will impact your dealerships in the coming year, offer you some tips and tricks to determine which online review sites are best for your business, and close by providing you with some best practices that we've learned from some of our customers for how to build an online presence on the sites that matter most. So there are two characteristics of a perfectly competitive market that we're going to be talking about. First, all firms sell an identical product, and second, buyers have complete information about the product being sold and the market prices. In a lot of ways, the automotive market is perfectly competitive, especially since the internet has reached a critical mass. Car buyers can now quickly scan your website for price and inventory, and the question they're often confronted with is, what can I do to make, that we're confronted with by dealerships, is what can I do to make sure that my dealership stands out and is chosen by prospective car buyers? One of the key differentiators we suggest dealership focus on is delivering a top-notch experience and then encouraging your customer to leave a review once that transaction is completed. And we'll get a lot deeper in that as the webinar progresses, but online reviews are important for making sure that your business gets found, gets chosen, and ultimately gets better. Now, online reviews, they influence the entire customer journey, from awareness all the way to decision. So that first step, as I mentioned, was awareness. If you want to attract new business, it's important that consumers know who you are and what you do. Traditional marketing and advertising isn't enough anymore. You need to make sure that your business is both easy to find and has a good reputation when it is found. Online reviews help a business get found because they impact local search ranking. So next up is the consideration phase. In the past, when consumers were looking for recommendations from businesses, they were limited, like I said, to how small or big their network of family and friends were. Now they have access to thousands upon thousands of online reviews just with the connection to the internet or their smartphone. And the crazy thing to me, at least when I first started working at Podium, is that a vast majority of consumers, 84% to be exact, trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So finally is the decision phase. Nowadays, almost all purchase decisions are impacted in one way or another by online reviews. And as you can see from that stat, 90% of consumers say buying decisions are influenced by reviews. Just think about how you make a purchase decision, an everyday purchase decision. When I'm shopping on a site like Amazon, I want to know if the product I want to buy is any good or if it will actually do what it's claiming to do. And if I don't like what I see, I'm going to keep looking. The same thing is true when consumers are researching for dealerships in their area. Name recognition isn't enough anymore. You need to be delivering customer service so that your online reviews reflect your experience. And there's one more step of the customer journey that's not listed here, but that online reviews impact as well. What I'm talking about is what happens post-purchase. Online reviews provide businesses with valuable feedback and actionable insights that they need to improve the overall experience. And if the customer experience is good, the likelihood of repeat business increases significantly. And online reviews are part of a virtuous cycle that helps a business improve and get better. So why are reviews? Why are reviews important? Why do they matter to your dealership? Online reviews are now an integral part of the shopping experience. Many customers or car buyers will have completed a majority of the customer journey before they even step onto your lot. As the stat shows, 91% of consumers read reviews regularly or occasionally, and because of this, you need to be actively seeking feedback from customers so that your reviews are current, and so that when customers are researching and reading reviews for your dealership and other dealerships in your area, you will stand out as the obvious choice. Another thing that matters to car buyers is what your overall star rating is. Your star rating is probably not going to be what makes a customer make a purchase, but it could be the spark needed to push your business from awareness to consideration. To even be considered by a car buyer, your rating has to be at least 3 stars according to this stat. But that's just the floor. If you really want to be attractive to consumers, you want to strive to have a much higher rating than that. Now finally, one of the biggest benefits that come as a result of online reviews is the trust that reviews bring. When customers see your when customers see from your potential reviews determines how they feel about you. And this stat says 74% of consumers say positive reviews make them trust a local business more. So if you want to have that trust with consumers, you're going to want to have, a lot of reviews, a lot of current reviews, and work to have that good star rating. So over the next portion of the presentation, we're going to go over some review trends that we're seeing in the marketplace and how those review trends will affect your business in the coming year. Finding the right business when conducting an online search can sometimes feel like looking for a needle in a haystack to consumers. Business owners feel a lot of pressure to make sure their needle stands out. Thousands of businesses are competing for the top spot on the search engine results page, and so what can your dealership do to ensure a high ranking? The simple answer is local search engine optimization. For those new to digital marketing, this task might seem a little daunting, but it doesn't have to be. If you're unfamiliar with what local search is, it's very similar to organic or natural search. It is constrained by geography. With the rise in mobile devices in recent years, local search has become more and more important. Where your business ranks in local search results matters, especially when it comes to things like near-me searches. So near-me searches are searches when a customer is out and about looking for a business. They're actively looking for, like if they're looking for a car, they'll type into their smartphone, auto dealerships near me or Ford dealers near me. And what you need to do is make sure that you're optimized for these queries. Recent changes to Google's local search engine algorithm have given more weight to these near-me searches. In fact, according to an informal study conducted by Search Engine Land, non-branded keyword searches for generic terms like accountant, bank, or auto dealership auto-completed to near me nearly 90% of the time on desktops and 70% of the time on mobile. So near-me searches on mobile devices are significantly accelerating the purchase process. Individuals can quickly go from awareness or investigation to the decision phase in a matter of minutes because access to information is more readily available, and because buyers know exactly what they want, their searches are more targeted. So that leads us to micro moments. According to Pew Research, 72% of adults in the U.S. own smartphones, and most of them aren't using them to just play games like Clash of Clans. Many consumers are using them to make their lives easier. So for example, I'd just like to share a little bit of experience about myself. As my family was growing, I realized that I needed to bite the bullet and buy a minivan. So I pulled out my phone and started asking questions like, what is the safest minivan? And those questions then progressed to Honda Odysseys near me. Google refers to these moments where searchers want to know, want to go, or want to buy as micro moments. When consumers are experiencing these micro moments, they want their questions answered immediately. And if your business isn't optimized to be there when customers have these questions, you can miss out on building a relationship with them, or even worse, you could lose out on a potential sale. So now we're going to talk about how to build consumer confidence in your business using online reviews. According to research by OfferPop, consumers instinctively trust user-generated content like online reviews far more than content created by a business or a brand. So we've talked a lot about how consumers are now turning to online reviews to help them make their purchase decisions, where in the past they would turn to their family or friends. But now, because the trust in online reviews is so great, people are turning to them because there are a lot more online reviews than most people have friends. I mean, you could be the most popular person in your area, but you still wouldn't probably know someone that has experience with every auto dealership. So that's what makes online reviews such a good tool for consumers. So even though businesses know the importance of online reviews, that they play in building consumer confidence, they often have trouble figuring out how to grow their presence in that area. But luckily for you, we're going to be giving you some tips to do just that later in the presentation. Online reviews also help you drive more business. We've already talked about how influential reviews can be in building trust and credibility, but they can also be what pushes customers in the right direction to ultimately make a purchase. These stats here on this slide are from a recent study conducted by Podium with more than 2,000 consumers. And we found that 93% of respondents to that survey said that online reviews impacted purchase decisions, and another 82% said that the content of a review has convinced them to make a purchase. So this goes back to what I was saying about the star rating. While it's nice to have a high star rating, and that's what's going to be attractive to people to click on your reviews, what is said in your reviews actually matters almost as much or even more. That's where people are going to find out what the experience is like at your dealership and whether it's good or bad, and maybe it will even identify some of your employees that are standing out, so people will look at reviews and maybe ask for a specific salesperson because of what they read in an online review. Another thing that you can learn from online reviews is what differentiates you from your competitors. Now, this is going to require a little extra legwork on your part. You'll want to find out what customers are saying about you on online reviews, and also what they're saying about your competition. This will help you identify reasons why some consumers are choosing the competition, and in turn, why customers are doing business with you. Smart businesses will use that information to improve their messaging and their process, and ultimately draw more consumers away from the competition. So finally, what I'm going to talk about is the actionable insights that you can use from reviews to make your dealership better. So one of the biggest advantages gained through online review management, especially if you're collecting new reviews on a near daily basis, is the real-time feedback you'll receive on your business operations as well as your employee performance. So no business is immune to negative reviews, but how you respond and deal with those negative reviews will go a long way toward showing your customers that you value their opinion and constructive feedback. And negative reviews, they don't have to be all bad. They can, especially if you're using these negative or even middling reviews as an opportunity to learn and improve the service you deliver, and that's a way to build a successful business. Online reviews are a valuable tool at your fingertips that you can use to gain a better understanding of how your business is operating. And this real-time feedback is essential to identify problem areas and remediating them before they become systemic across your whole organization. Transparency has long been a buzzword in the business world, and businesses that truly aspire to be transparent value honest feedback from customers. And this helps them identify what is working, which employees are succeeding, and gives you those actionable insights that enable you to make educated business decisions rather than taking a shot in the dark. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dan, who's going to talk about which online review sites are best for your dealership and how you can go about collecting more online reviews.
Thanks, John. So as John has just kind of talked about, we're getting this holistic understanding of why reviews are important, what we can use reviews for. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today is just things that you can do right now to start taking advantage of this. It's not going to require anything but effort. It's all free with these tricks and tips. And a lot of what we're mentioning, again, we'll share sources, so it's not just stuff that we think is best, but what our data shows us, as well as what we've heard from our customers as well. So the first is just understanding which online review sites are going to be best for the dealership. I'm sure all of you understand that there is a lot of different review sites out there. And as we go through this, my goal is to help you understand and really narrow down that focus. Oftentimes, I think why people get frustrated is they have such a broad approach to this that it becomes frustrating, and it seems they get one thing figured out and then another thing pops up. So what I would recommend is let's just start with a narrow focus, and the narrow focus that we recommend is starting with the sites that are going to give us the biggest return on our investment. So the thing that I would recommend is sitting down with the entire dealership, making sure that everyone's aware of these goals as well. So I think oftentimes owners, GMs will say, hey, I just can't get my team or I can't get my employees to get behind this idea. No one wants to help us out, and we can't get him even to log into our system as is. A big frustrating point that the employees are telling us is, look, I just don't understand why we're doing this. I don't get the reason behind it. So make sure today, or when you start implementing these things, you sit your staff down, or you take your staff aside and say, or maybe you're a staff member and you've got to sit the owner or the GM down and share the insights and help them understand, look, the reason why we're doing this is really to help all of us win as a dealership. It's going to help us improve our local SEO and visibility, which means that more people are going to be walking in the door. Any sales rep is going to be excited and ecstatic to know that they're not going to have to work as hard, because if I do my part in helping this, we should have more people walk into the door and really help increase our foot traffic. The other part of it, again, it pretty much goes without saying, but we understand that, look, the goal with every deal you sell should be to help build trust and credibility with customers. So what that means is if we've done a good job, we can, ask for feedback, how we've done, pat ourselves on the back. Now, we also have to be open to the fact that when we get it wrong, we don't try and hide that. As John mentioned with the word transparency, I think every business wants a customer to feel like, hey, we're open here, we'll admit our mistakes, and with review sites, people can see those mistakes very easily, and so we should never try and hide that or never try and persuade people away from that, but we should try and build trust, but if we get it wrong, that's okay. It will build credibility to your review sites if you get negative reviews, to where now you can fix the situation, take care of that customer, and then make sure people see that in your response, so that way everyone can say, hey, even when they do get it wrong, they make sure to take care of that really quick. So I would say first, make sure to sit your staff down or sit the owner or GM down and share the reason why. Here is why we should put more focus into this. The other part of that is making sure that everyone understands that, look, this isn't a bad thing. We have great customer service. We're going to build trust with everybody and credibility with their customers as well. Now, to my previous point about this narrow focus, so we want to pick sites that our customers are familiar with. So think of it this way, just as John mentioned, right off the bat, I'll tell you the site that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck is just simply helping with your Google reviews. Google is the billboard of all billboards when it comes to the online world. Whenever someone is trying to find something, they Google it. So I would recommend that everyone start there, and as you can see, 66% of consumers aren't going to trust review sites that they're not familiar with anyway. So if you go outside of that and say, hey, I kind of have this offsite where we get great reviews and I'll share it to customers, 66% of people aren't going to even find that credible, no matter what your rating is there. So if you can see on the bottom there, that's a perfect snapshot of where I would say you should focus. 87% of consumers have access to Google, Facebook, or Yelp just on their phone themselves. So make sure that when you get this focus, again, if we're painting with a broad brush, it's hard for the staff members to remember what sites we're trying to help out with. But if we can narrow down to say, look, 87% of people are going to have Google, Facebook, or Yelp on their phone. There may be the occasional one or two individuals who don't, but that's okay because there are industry-specific sites that you can focus on. So Cars, Edmunds, DealerRater, some of those industry-specific sites are great as well to help build credibility. I think sometimes I've heard people kind of get shocked to see Facebook on there, but I will tell you that Facebook has actually invested quite a bit of money into their review space. The other great thing about Facebook is because it is a social network, friends and family members are sharing experiences all the time. It's incredibly rare nowadays where you don't see someone taking a picture of their car when they get home or something like that, sharing the message. You want to make sure that you're capturing those reviews as well. And beyond just that social aspect, the ROI as far as search engine optimization where you rank in what is referred to as the map pack. So if I Google Ford dealerships near me, part of that factor is based upon the reviews, the quantity, and then the quality and recency, so how often you've gotten those. So again, I would say that's a perfect snapshot of where everyone should be making sure they focus. Now, this next part is going to be more tailored to how do we build those online sites. What are the tricks and tips that I can share with you from the most successful dealerships that are, moving a decent number of cars? How do we get those to convert into online reviews? Again, it's not anything magic. I'm sure a lot of you are very close, and if we can just tweak it just a little bit with some of the information that we've gathered from our customers, we can really help you increase the amount of feedback you're getting from your customers. So the first thing is determine the right timing of the invitation. Now, you can see at that first bullet point, sending an invite before your customer leaves the business is going to increase the likelihood of obtaining a review. So think about maybe within the last six months, how often have you used a review to make a decision? Now think in the last 6 months, how many times have you left a review for an individual company or business? The odds are is that it's pretty slim to none. Some of that can be due to the fact that there's just no timing, no one's asking, or if they do, it's too late and we can't remember the experience. Thinking about what I did yesterday, there's a lot of blurs. I don't know exactly what the details were. Same with the car buying experience as well. Odds are they're probably, if they've already left the dealership or it's 2 or 3 days after, they may not remember the rep's name. They may not remember the exact details of the experience. But if we can say, a great time that I like to encourage people is either between finance or even after finance when they're showing them the vehicle, getting them in. Those are great times to say, hey, we are so excited to get you in here. If you wouldn't mind just leaving us some feedback and letting us know how we did today, it would really mean a lot to us. That is the perfect time where, again, we've got them into the car, we've shown them, and we're going to get a lot of feedback as far as what it was like to get there, what the sales process is like, who they worked with. All of that content is going to be great in that review space there. I will mention as well, some people like to do this at the beginning. I would recommend not doing that when someone gets to your dealership. The reason being is they haven't really had an experience yet, so they may just leave a couple stars and walk away, but there's nothing there. It's always best to think, think of your process right now at your dealership. When has someone had an experience that they can write about, but there's going to be downtime so they can take the time to do it? Those are the things I encourage people, and what I have found with my customers is it's either during finance or it's right after we have got them, shown them around the car, and they're getting ready to take off. So those can be great times. Now, a huge issue that customers will tell the dealerships about leaving a review is just the fact that it takes way too many steps. Think about, again, your own situation of when's the last time you left a place to review. Sometimes it's difficult because we have to find the location, we have to then log in, we have to search for it, which if it's going to take, a couple of steps, I can promise you people aren't going to take the time to do it unless it was just unreal experience. So what I would recommend is let's try to create this frictionless process. Again, sit down with your staff, maybe brainstorm with yourself and think of what is the easiest way to get this accomplished. And sometimes it's coaching and training. I promise it's not a bad idea to say, hey, look, we would love for you to leave us feedback. Here's what the process looks like on your end. This is what it will require. And if you can shorten that to where maybe someone only has to click once or twice, it's going to increase a lot. So whether that's sending invites through a text message, or something where they can log in very quick, and again, playing by the rules of the different review sites, you want to make that just as easy as possible so that all the customer has to focus on is writing their experience and what the situation was like. Because if they're spending the majority of the time just trying to log into the site, I can promise you they'll get too frustrated and they'll just walk away, and then we miss out on that rich content or just the rich feedback that they can leave there. So to my previous point, one thing that we have found to be extremely successful is just, inviting or sending something through a text message. The reality is 90% of their people are on their phone anyways. It has a 99% open rate because it's a text, people see it. The nice thing about this is it's not a promotional piece. When you think about the laws that are out there, we're not trying to do a spiff or any marketing incentive. This is just simply tell us how we did today, and then we're sending this invite to a device that they're already on. Most of the people are either checking some sort of social media network at the dealership anyways while they're waiting. So if you can create this process with your staff to where they're sending out these invites via text, again, thinking of that timing process while maybe they're in finance or maybe they're just getting ready to take off, where you can say, hey, you should be getting a text from us shortly. When that text message comes across, it's going to have a high click-through rate, and then it's going to have a great response rate as well. So that is something that we are huge proponents of as well here at Podium, is the fact that we send invites through text. Now, it's also incredibly important to set the right expectation for this review. The most successful businesses are the ones that explain everything in detail. If you ever leave it up to the customer to just make an assumption of what they're supposed to do, I can promise you they're going to get it wrong the majority of the time. It's just like trying to explain or maybe you've asked somebody at the dealership to do something and they get it wrong. The reason being is just because we haven't given them the right expectations, or we haven't let them know exactly what's going to happen. So steps 1, 2, and 3 are great. So when? Again, thinking back to the timing, hey, we're going to send you a text message here shortly, and that goes to that second point of the how. If it is not through a text, let them know you should be receiving an email. Again, we want to try and get this just as quick as possible. So if you can say, hey, you should be getting a text message here in the next little bit asking for feedback. The why also, of course, let them know. Be open. If people know that you need this for a specific reason, whether it helps us in management understand how we're doing, or hey, we just want other people to know, I promise you customers are incredibly nice, as you've all experienced, I'm sure, and you'd be surprised at what they're willing to leave in the feedback. So I've had a couple of dealerships that will be very specific when they say, if you wouldn't mind mentioning the rep that you worked with, what the experience was like, and what car you purchased, we would really appreciate that feedback so that we know how we can improve here at the dealership. And I've read multiple reviews where a rep's name is mentioned, specifics about the car was mentioned, or specifics about what the sales process is like. Again, think of it from a standpoint, if you were searching for something online, what information would you want in a review so that you would know, or you could make a better educated decision? So those are just things you'll want to think about, or things you'll want to convey to a customer so that they know exactly what you're looking for, and then that way there's no guessing or assuming there. Now, this next piece pretty much goes without saying, but look, the reality is customers demand a high-quality experience. As John mentioned, the reality is people, we have the same car, multiple lots, and people want a great experience. People don't want to have to be haggled or anything like that. I'm sure the majority of you are hyper-focused on this as well. Even to that stat there, 66% of customers will switch companies if they have a bad experience. Look, sometimes people feel like they're invincible. They feel like people have to come to us. I'm sure nobody on this webinar feels that way, but you'd be surprised at the people we've talked to who will let us know, like, well, don't you know who I am? In the online world today, it is so small. I've seen a dealership that is only moving a couple cars a month with hundreds of reviews, and a dealership that moves hundreds of cars with only a few reviews. And you would think that one was bigger than the other just based on their online presence. So as a dealership, again, as you're thinking about those goals, I'm sure a lot of you do this, when you deliver a high quality customer service, you can, again, ask those customers to let others know what it was like. And when you do that, they're going to share that online. People are going to read that. In fact, we read a stat the other day from Marketing Land where the average consumer now is reading anywhere from 6 to 10 reviews before they pick a location. I think that most people would go, 3 or 4 different dealerships, and now they're just reading the reviews to understand, hey, should I do business with this place or not? So those reviews will go a long way. And again, if you do have a negative review, that's okay. Make sure you respond back to those because it's going to give you credibility and also authenticate who you are as a dealership, that, hey, we may get it wrong every now and then, but we take care of those situations. So make sure you stay on top of that and deliver that high quality customer service. Now, obviously, Podium, we are a reputation management company. We'd hope you'd work with us, but the reality is there are a lot of different companies out there, and the reality is everyone should be using at least some sort of reputation management tool, whether it's us or somebody else. Because of the different review sites out there, if it was only one site today, it would be incredibly easy to log in and see that. But the fact that there are now tens of different types of review sites, it would just take too long. And if you have multiple locations, that's a lot of clicking through. So the great thing about using a reputation management tool is the fact that you can keep on top of this every day or every week, depending on whatever system you use. So again, I know I harp on this quite a bit, but the thing that customers find frustrating, our dealerships sometimes miss the ball on, is they'll have a negative review come in, which is okay, but they just don't stay on top of it, or they don't respond back for up to a month, and then by then it's been buried and it just took too long to respond. Where think of what losing out on potential customers that month could have been. You could have missed out on maybe selling an extra car or two just because you didn't take care of that. Where these tools are great to give you notifications of, here's what's going on today, or hey, you just had some negative feedback, make sure to respond to this. Things like that will really go a long way in helping ensure that you stay at the top of your game. And again, it's just a really simple, easy way to stand out online on top of your customers there. So would highly recommend looking around, seeing what's there to find something that fits your needs and your solutions for the dealership. Now, with that being said, we are offering a promo code to everyone on this webinar as a thanks for listening to us, and thanks to all of the listeners here as well. So it's just AUTO-MAR17, so AUTO-MAR17. Feel free to use that, and appreciate you guys being on this webinar today. You will see here our sources, just so you're aware that we didn't make all this up. We are gathering this from some sites and great sources as well.
So we'll just turn it back over to Brian for the Q&A portion of the webinar.
Hey everybody, this is Brian. Our first question is, we also need them to fill out the customer satisfaction survey from the OEM. Does this reduce the chance they will give that, I'm guessing, the review proper attention?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the reality is you think of the email inbox today and the fact that there is just a lot of emails and things going out there. This isn't going to replace it, but it really helps supplement that. So OEMs are going to send an email, and this is just one less email or something that the customer is going to have to deal with. So if you can send this invite via text and say, hey, thanks for filling that out, you should be getting this survey later, we look at it as both complimenting. The data that we've seen is that customers who fill out this review or people who fill out the review have a higher percentage of filling out the survey later. And again, it's that we're really trying to eliminate the number of emails going into their inbox and supplementing that by sending a text instead of email.
And the timing also matters, what we talked about. So like if you're sending the review invite while they're still on site with you and they're, in F&I, then they're able to complete that review before they even leave your lot, and so you can send the survey, the OEM survey, whenever it comes. But it won't. I don't think that it'll seem overburdensome for the customer.
Okay. What percentage of customers leaving reviews should be our goal?
Yeah, great question. So typically what we see on our end is obviously the more the better. Some dealerships will try and get maybe 1 or 2 reviews a month. What I recommend is, look, if you can have anywhere from our average conversion is somewhere around 30 to 40%, somewhere right around there, which is a great goal. Obviously we're trying to send invites to as many people as possible. But we've seen somewhere around 30–40% conversion, and I would ask every customer again, even if they're upset, you would want to know about that as quick as possible. So that would be what I would recommend.
Yeah, I think what Dan hit it on the head there. Like the key is to just ask every single one who comes through the dealership to leave a review, and that way you'll be able to have an online review presence that's actually representative of your experience. You don't want to game the system and only ask your happy customers or people that will leave good feedback, because I think it could be just as damaging if a customer sees your reviews are like super good and they come in and have a bad experience. You want your reviews to be representative of what your actual experience is like, so you know whether or not you have to coach up some employees or do some things to change the experience so that it's better for the customer.
All right. This next question is, should we ask them to leave a review while they're waiting to go into F&I?
Yeah. I think this is kind of that timing question. I have my own recommendations that I've shared, which waiting for F&I is great because we all know that can take some time to where they're going to be sitting anyways, or even when we're showing them the car. I think what's important is that every dealership has its own process in place. Figure out what that process is. If you haven't looked at it recently, take a second and look at it again to say, where are customers, when does it feel most natural for my sales or my service team to say, hey, do you mind taking a second and just leaving us feedback? So if you can look at that process and just ask yourself, where would I feel so natural? Again, what I found with customers I talk to, it seems like that finance or just right when we're getting them into the car, those both have seem to be good spots.
All right. Our next question is, we get a lot of sales reviews, but hardly any for our service department. 97% sales versus 3% of service customer reviews. Any advice on how to increase our service reviews without losing focus on the sales department?
Yeah, one of I deal with a dealership out of California, and I think sometimes service can kind of, the sales team, it's always a team we're excited about. They're pushing inventory. They have a lot of goals. Service does as well, but sometimes it takes a backseat to some of these marketing tools. And what I have found with the dealership specifically in California, who doing a great job of this, is they sit down, these service managers, and the service managers are making sure that their staff understands the goal as well. So they'll take them. Service managers will sit down with the different technicians and say, look, I need your help. This is the goal we're trying to accomplish. Again, look in that service process and ask yourself, when does it feel most natural? A lot of times this happens when they're at the checkout or cashing out after the service quote. That is a great time to where they can say, great, we're going to go ahead and run this paperwork for you. By the way, would you mind letting us know how your experience was today, or what you thought of the service center? And make sure you're calling that out specifically. If we can make sure we get the time right, and then we can also share the right expectations, saying, look, this is for the service center, this is incredibly important, and then make sure you're setting goals with the service team as well. If it's right now 97-3, you've done a great job with the sell side. Maybe sit the service side down and be open and transparent, and hey, you know, the sales team's done great. We just want you to benefit from the same success that they've seen. What do you feel comfortable as a good goal this month? And then celebrate that with them when they hit that goal. And make sure to call out those reviews. There's a dealership in Utah that does a great job at the training meetings. Well, they'll pull up a review of the week just to get the team engaged with it. And they'll pull a sales and a service one so that both teams feel aligned. They both feel like they have a good focus. You'd be surprised that, you know, maybe sometimes they're just not aware of what the vision of the dealership is. So if we can share those goals, celebrate that success, I promise you will see more involvement from both sides and higher returns there.
All right. Actually, this is a great question. Should we ask bad reviews to call us offline or attempt to help on the review side?
So the process that we suggest following is, so you're going to want to respond initially to the review online and say, you know, I'm sorry you had such a bad experience. Is there something that we can do to help? You know, then push them to contact you offline. That way the people that see the review will know that you've made contact and are trying to remediate the situation, and then you won't have a back and forth. It's harder to solve a problem on those comment strings going back and forth. It's easier to solve, you know, on the phone or via email. And then a lot of times what you can do after you've resolved the problems is ask them to go back and just, you know, leave a comment or amend the review to say, you know, initially I had a bad experience, but this is what they did to help me out and fixed it. So that's what I'd recommend doing. So initially comment on the review and then take it offline.
Okay. What can we do about fake bad reviews?
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify, about fake bad reviews?
Yeah, like fake, F-A-K-E? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You know, it's something, I think the first thing is, if you haven't done this already, go ahead and claim your Google account. That should be the first thing. Go claim those different sites so that you're aware of what's going on. This can happen, and if it does, make sure you first off let Google, these different sites know about it. You can always dispute something. So if a fake review does come up, don't worry, it's not going to stay. Some people, I've seen people respond back emotionally charged, say, this is fake, don't believe this, and that does not work out, trust me. Never try and share that online because people read it and they'll read right through the drama of it. So I would recommend that the best thing to do is to try to contact the specific site, so whether that's Google, Facebook, Yelp, or whoever. Let them know the situation. Try and find the evidence. If you know it's fake, try and say, hey, you know, I've heard of somebody saying this person works at this location near me and they're just leaving negative feedback to try and damage our business. And they'll look into it. The best thing that you can do is, to kind of John's point there, just make sure you respond. Bad reviews, I think, again, our whole focus that we're trying to teach dealerships is we get in this defensive mode with online reviews where anytime it's like we open up and we see the reviews of the day and we're just hoping that they're good, and if they're bad, we've got to fix this right away. If you have a process in place where you're getting, you know, multiple reviews a day, really doesn't matter as much about those negative ones, and we can take care of them quickly. So you may get a negative fake one to where you can respond and say, we will make sure this gets taken care of as quick as possible, and then leave it at that. And then try and get as many positive or just as many other reviews as you can surrounding it, so that people can say, oh, there's one bad one, but there's a lot of good ones. And then make sure that you work with your specific account rep on those different sites, so either Google, Yelp, or Facebook, and just explain the situation, what's going on, and they're pretty good about making sure those get taken care of.
All right. Looks like this is our last question, and it's for anybody who has another question. Please type it in quickly, and we'll get to it. But for right now, this is the last question. It says, how do video reviews work? Do they help SEO?
Video reviews?
Yeah, it says video reviews.
So I've seen, and I could be off on this, but what I've seen kind of as this new thing is, you know, YouTube specifically, people will create a YouTube channel, and then whether it's a review or even just a promo about the dealership there, that can often help boost SEO. But as far as we're going to take a tutorial, we're going to have a customer leave a review, and then we'll put that video on our site, those can certainly be helpful. But again, what we find is that if we just play to the rules of what Google, Yelp, Facebook are doing, it's best just to get reviews to those specific sites, since that's where people go to read the reviews. If they do make it onto your site, then yes, it's a great benefit. As far as the SEO benefit, it can, but you have to be very consistent about the content, refresh it, renew it. A simple ad that I would make there is on both Google and Yelp and even Facebook now, there's a place where customers can take photos of the area or the car, and that's a great place to recommend, hey, would you mind leaving us some feedback, and by the way, feel free to take a picture of your car and share it on Google, or take a picture of our service center and share it on Google. That will go a lot farther than a video review. Although those can be great, I would recommend putting it onto the specific review sites.
Okay. Well, it looks like that's our last question. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to join us today. John and Dan, you know, I appreciate you. I'm sure all of our audience does too. You guys taking the time to share this great information. We hope to have you back again sometime soon. I'd like to remind everybody before we go, if you haven't joined AutoSuccess webinars on Facebook, please do. The larger community we can get there, the more, you know, we can all help each other to succeed. John and Dan, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience before we let them go today?
No, but if you do have any questions, you can reach out to Dan or myself. My email is john@podium.com. and Dan's is just dan@podium.com, and my name is Jon. So if you have any questions, feel free to do that, or you can just go to our website, and there is a chat function in the bottom right-hand corner, and those people will be able to answer your question as well.
Great. Well, and everybody, if you found this webinar valuable and you'd like to share it with someone else in your dealership, please, you know, send any of the three of us an email, and we'll get you the recording, because it was recorded. Thank you guys for coming. I hope to see you all on future AutoSuccess webinars. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks.